All right, everybody. So we're going to do things a little bit different this morning. Michael Senna is going to be leading this call. Hey, there's Nate Butcher. Dude, I thought you were going to be here.
He heard I was leading the call, Frank.
Well, when I heard that Mike was doing it, I was like, oh, I just canceled everything else for the day. I
All
might
right.
have to jet a little early, but I wanted to see what was happening.
All right. Michael, it's all yours, brother.
Thank you, thank you. Welcome, guys. Hey, guys. Today, I just want to kind of welcome all you guys, and just kind of keep deep diving into what we do and how we build our business and what's going on in our growth. Talking about our consistency and everything. And there was some things brought up last week that kind of sparked some ears when we were talking about new sources of lead generation and how we're going to focus some of our buyers, and the idea of an assumable loan. And I wanted to kind of get people's ideas of, is there any other, maybe not out of the box, but unique ideas that if we all plug into or look into, those might bring extra sources of clients and resources for our clients that we work with. So I know that I looked a little bit more into the assumable loans, which is great. Definitely a great thing, but I wanted to kind of get everybody's idea of what they're going to be looking at this year and future, if they have anything that they worked at in the past that they thought was kind of a nice little niche market that they could bring to their clients. Does anybody have something to start? I know, Nate, you've been around for a bit. Is there something niche that you've worked with, or something like kind of more particular that helped you get your business kind of booming? And
Not really niche. I think I was super interested in that assume list that we came up last week too. I'm looking more into it, so I got with my lenders and I said, look, there's got to be downsides to being able to assume a loan, and they of course told me there were. There's only certain ways investors can only assume certain types of loans, right? And some of them have to be owner occupied, then there's vacancy rates, all kind of different things. But I still think it's a great tool in the toolbox, for that type of thing. What I'm seeing is inventory rising like crazy. I know we're from all around the country here, but where I'm at, and I know where Elton at, Michael and you, we're seeing inventory. I'm getting a lot of listings. Houses are selling, but they're sitting on the market a lot longer. So I don't know. It's just because of the climate, what we've had here with the fires and everything, or what's going on. But I'm getting listing calls every couple days. So that's good. I would rather have 100 listings and takes 90 days to sell them than I would run buyers around. But we're seeing buyers be a little bit skittish. That's what I'm seeing right now. I don't know what you're. I know Elgin and I work a lot of the same market, and you too, Michael.
yeah, yeah, that's pretty much what I'm seeing. Yeah, I'm seeing the listing, the days on market. Like you said, I think it went from 5 to 10 days from way back, ways back. Now on condos, I'm seeing 45 to 60, even 75 days for listing. The houses a little bit shorter, but that's kind of where you're seeing the market go. And like you said, the buyers are still there, but the prices are still holding on. They're coming down a little bit, but they're still holding on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they
that's
are. And as far as niche, I mean, I've always, I know that I think it's great people that deal with a lot of investment properties and stuff. I've just never had good luck on finding those flip deals or anything like that. So I stick to John and Mama Smith and Papa Smith and them selling their houses, but we're calling every day, and I'm telling my team 10 conversations about real estate every single day, and I just beat it, and the ones that are doing really well. So, but here's what I do think. I think that people that held up in 2024 and thought they were just going to wait it out and not move, I think people in 2025 are like, look, we've been trying this for 2 years. We've been trying not to sell, and I think sellers are just like, look, I have to move. I've got to go out of state. I've got this happen and that happen. So I think it's going to be a good year. I think so we're just focusing on getting our listings right now.
definitely, I think so. And I think just to go to that point, Nate, you know, I think assumable homes, I think these niche markets that we have, those are great, and some people really dive into them. But the true thing that really helps our business grow is that bread and butter. Do your bread and butter, and then you have some of these other things that you're going to work into that might help build your business. But you can't try to build your business all on that, especially when you don't know that much about it at the start. So you can grow into that, but you just take that little bite and let that go, and maybe they go. Same as when you're investing. You don't throw all your money into this thing that might pop. You want to make sure you have your bread and butter, get your bases covered, and then go into those.
Yeah,
Exactly.
tools in the toolbox. It's
Right.
like I would love to have a super high price point, and I always try to keep our price point high. But then I'm not going to turn down a $200,000 mobile home, right? We're still going to take the listing, so we just want to do as many as we can. So I agree.
Awesome.
Michael, can I make
Well,
a suggestion?
Yes, sir.
In case some of you brand new don't know what we were talking about, the assume list. Chris, could you redistribute that recording last week that we had with Alex Dwyer on the Winner Circle talking about the homes in your neighborhoods or your farms that they're assumable loans because, qualifying and everything. I would just like to revisit that in case anybody did not make the call last week. It was phenomenal. And the way I knew it was phenomenal is I've never seen Nate so excited. So, right,
Yeah, and
Nate?
I don't think I'm going to sell 20 properties off of it, but what if I could sell three? I mean, our commissions are 15, 20 grand. You know what I mean? So that's three
Right.
clients we help, three more escrow. I mean, that's just ever how many. I think it's a great tool.
Yeah.
Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
Might just get you over the edge on some of your clients, which is good.
Yeah, for
All
sure.
right. Sid, I think looked like you were about to say something earlier. You had some comment, or do you have something that would, could jump in?
Yeah, a similar loan niche. That sounds interesting. We have not been able to successfully complete one here. But with that being said, maybe got to kind of re-get the training. Lenders, of course, they don't want to, unless you guys tell me, and you guys, because I did not attend last week. I have found that lenders don't really want to do it because they don't make any money on them per se, or not as much as maybe refinancing. So on our end, we've had difficulty finding a lender that basically wants to do it, and I hear it takes forever, but that's just kind of my perspective. We are seeing a shift in seller financing, which is different and new, but you got an investor again that has that price in their head and they're stuck. And I am blown away at how many investors are calling me pitching seller financing options, which is a shift. 4 or 5 months
Mhm.
ago, you asked me that wouldn't have been happening, but now I'm getting it like all the time. And I'm just like, wow, there's something shifting. Investors are no longer just trying to buy it, but they're like trying to get super creative on the financing to basically get in. And it's a very interesting shift. I hadn't seen that before, but I just completed one and it was pretty darn simple. And what's nice about doing it that way is you can probably, if you want, charge a little bit more commission because you're structuring the deal and things like that. You're kind of at least setting it up through title and escrow. But I found you could take better control, better command, and to get the deal done. And again, kind of like what you guys alluding to, it's not your only, we do plenty of bread and butter business here, but
Mhm.
it's those niches that kind of get you over that edge. And yes, I sell mobile homes as well if I need to. And I got a client that does like 4 or 5 years just over and over and over again, and so yeah, I just thought I'd throw that in there.
All right. Very cool. That's awesome. Yeah, it's the niche, the extra little things. Everybody does the bread and butter, but the extra little things which will that's what's going to make you stand out. This person, everybody can do my loan, but this person can get this other one done. Or everybody can help me find a house, but this person can find me the mobile home and the, 80 acres of land and the mansion, and the assumable home one, whatever I want. But if you can find all those and get those covered, that's going to be what helps. Arya, Mr. Arya, I know that you have worked a lot with buyers and listings. Is there any kind of niche that you're working on or something that you wanted to share with the group?
Yes, I want to start with I went to an event in Idaho, Michigan, obviously, Idaho, Michigan, in Detroit, Michigan. Got the state mixed up. And of course, you don't go to Detroit, Michigan in winter vacationing. So I went there for a lending. United Wholesale Mortgage invited me. There were like about 60 realtors. And the most that I got out of it is networking with other realtors. And this time I tried to be more mindful in connecting with them. But one thing that I heard before, and I want to share with you, is cost only exists if in the absence of value. And that was one of the profound things. I'm sure that we have heard it from things, but it's so great because anytime when somebody says, oh, it's costing too much, or why you charging so much, then we need to increase our value. Was a reminder to me to really honing on the conversation is what is truly the value that I bring to my buyers and sellers. And if I become better at the craft of real estate, then I can charge what I'm worth. But if there is a question from the client is like, what is my value? Then obviously I need to increase it because the cost is only a issue with the absence of value. The other thing that also, I know you know it all, but I'm just preaching to the choir, is what I kind of like some of the epiphany last week that opened to me by going there is the three things that we cannot control are interest rate, inflation, and inventory. And we constantly, in any conversation, real estate, in my last 25 years, all of them are variables that we cannot control. So what is it that we control? And again, we controlling to getting on this meeting on the mastermind, finding to see what is the trend looking, and always is ever changing. Real estate in 25 years, maybe that's why I love it, because it's never is say, oh, okay, I figured it out. Okay, I have done it. And then you just go on and then sell. It's constantly re-educating yourself, learning, and getting ahead of the curve. And because of this, one thing that I'm inviting all of you, and I know you're already doing it, but I'm reminding myself, is that since the inflation, inventory, and the interest rates in particular, we cannot control, then how do we overcoming that when somebody says, Michael, I'm thinking about buying, but I'm waiting for the rate to come down. And then sometimes we say, okay, thank you, Arya, nice talking to you, and we hang up. But we don't ask the rest of the conversation. And the rest of the conversation is, Michael, I know 2025 is a year to win. Do you know, you or anybody else that you know, are you ready to buy? And let me, in a role play. And then you might say, you know, just give me something. Let's actually do a role play just quickly, see how it goes.
You know, I'm not sure right now. I want the rates to go down.
Very good. I have a lot of people that they want to rate to go down. What the rate has to go down to before you triggering the buying process in your mind? What is the rate going to be?
Well, we'll probably, you know, at least get bounced down to the low fives.
Okay, lower five. Can you quantify it? Is it like 5.9, 5.5, 5.1? What is,
yeah,
what is lower
5.25.
five means
Let's
to
say
you?
5.25.
5.25, 5.25. Wonderful. So if I could find a property or any property that might match with your criteria, if I can actually offer it to you at 5.25, would we actually have a deal? Is this
Well,
something
yeah.
you would consider?
If it was something I liked, if I liked the
Great.
property.
I would like to set a meeting for us to look at the home that you, and maybe I can implement a strategy that has many of my clients to win that game, to actually get you at their interest rate that maybe would be advantageous to you. And the reason that I want to do it so you don't have to wait, because a lot of clients, they're thinking like you because you're smart and you want to wait, get the best deal, but the cost of waiting is way too greater. And I will show it to you when we meet. And then you book a time. And I never went to that extra mile. When somebody says, oh, the interest rates are too high, I said, okay, well, I would have a conversation when the interest rates are lower. I'm waiting for it too,
Right.
even though my head looks like a crystal ball, but I really don't know it. I think what I want to demonstrate, sometimes we don't take it to the extra level. And I know you're always top producers, you're already doing it, but this was a reminder to me. And another thing that I learned, and I'm getting off my soapbox, is if you want to know, if you know something, teach it. And that's what I tried to do here. I was sharing with you what I wanted to learn so I could learn it. But by mentioning it, I'm really cementing those key things into my practice. And with that, so proud to be here. And hopefully that's my contribution for today. Back to you, Mike.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. I want to do two things. Once, I want to talk about your thing with the, you know, knowing our value and all our stuff. It really is something that we all need to hone in on. I know some of us really have it down well, but you know, your value proposition, it should roll off the top of your tongue, and we should revisit that, you know, all the time. And what is your value proposition? What are you bringing to the table? The more confident you are with that, the easier it is, and the less the chance that you're going to have your clients, you know, question your rates or question prices, so you can bring that up. The other thing is that you said there's three things. I'm going to challenge it. You know, inflation and interest rates, we don't have control over, right? Inventory, I challenge that a little bit, because we can create our own inventory. You know, it's a work, but if we go out there and we're finding listings and we do the work, I mean, it may not be as much, but that's something that we have a little bit more control over, is the inventory, because, oh, I look at the MLS, there's not much out there. If I go do the work, if I go knock on doors, if I make phone calls, if I'm going to find, I can create my own inventory that I can have and set and bring to the client. So that's just a little challenge or a little mindset that we have, that maybe that's not as out of our control as we might think. Okay. Awesome. Brendan, I know that you have a little bit of niche. I know that Nate hasn't said, you know, he's not a super investor, or doesn't work great with investor. I mean, he works with them, but doesn't always find those properties. I know that you focus on working with investors a lot. And you've been finding some properties. Do you want to share some of that and some of that niche that you work with?
Sure. First, you have to apologize. I'm a little under the weather today, so it may sound a little But yeah, I basically sell crack houses. It's what I've been doing pretty much from since I got my license. And yes, I do other, like everybody else talks about, I do the bread and butter things, but it is having a handful, not a bunch of them, but a handful of investors that I've worked with in the past that I like. That's the key part of it. And I have them, and we have a nice working relationship. And so we're constantly working together on all of these transactions. A lot of my investors actually, they find the houses and they say, hey, here's the one I want to buy. And I go out of my way a little bit. I'm the guy that I'll actually go out and walk the property for them because they don't let us do blind offers. And that was one of the things that I suggested to my investors. They're like, well, we can't do blind offers anymore. And I'm like, well, that's fine. Let me go. I'll go out. I'll do a virtual tour for you. It counts the same as if you did the walkthrough, and I can give you my opinion, and and it streamlines the process. And because I've done things like that with my investors, it's nice because they're the ones that they keep coming back. And then yes, I'm always out there, and I'm always looking for. Every morning I have my hot sheets that show up in my email for the areas that my investors are looking for. So obviously every morning I'm looking at those, and I'm like, okay, is this this goes to John, this goes to Sam, this goes to and I mean, I don't know how many people are new here, I don't know how many people are old, but Elgin can tell you, not everyone that we send out becomes a deal, but it's the fact that I keep doing that as established that my investors, they have no problems with what I want to charge. When the changes came to the buyer side commissions, they were a little freaked out, and they're like, what? I don't have to, I don't want to pay this now. And I'm like, no, you just relax. I'm going to get the seller to pay it. And, because I've instilled that trust with them that they've listened to me, and they're like, okay. And it's going through, they go through, they don't have to pay, the seller pays it. But yeah. And then, so yeah, I'm either looking on my hot lists for these new properties, that stuff that nobody else should want to buy. And then of course I still do, when the hot lists aren't very long, yeah, I go driving around. As much as I hate to, I drive around looking for.
Do you knock on the door? You just drive around, look at the houses, and then either knock on the door or try to find the owner's phone number? Is that what you do?
Yeah. Driving for dollars. That old cliche. Drive around, look for houses that are in a neighborhood that look like in certain neighborhoods that I watch constantly. You can see when they need the roof done. If somebody is not doing their roof for a couple of years, that may be a sign that they don't have the money to, make those repairs. And of course, I don't, and Michael, I've talked to him, and usually on people like that is I'll go and I'll knock on the doors around that house so they don't feel like I'm targeting them and just introducing myself in that neighborhood. And I approach them with a couple of different tools that we have. We're all with EXP. Yeah, we're all here with EXP, because I walk up and I introduce them to the express offers. And then I go through and I even tell them about Curbio, where they might get that work done through Curbio. And it's just a couple of things to get the conversation started, so that at least they know that I'm not here just to sell their house and make a buck. I'm here to try to help them,
Brendan, real quick question. And this is for everybody. I'm going to try to cut you off and everything. I know
no problem.
But we have a question from Chrissy and everything is for any of the newer agents, everything. How are you meeting your investors that you are going to work with? Because to find the homes and everything like that. But how have you guys met your investors, and how did you start building relationships so that even as a newer agent, maybe when you don't know any, how do you start building those relationships, and where do you go to meet them, and how do they come up?
Open houses at crack houses. No, Michael should have warned you guys. No, seriously, I do, open houses. I've met a lot of investors, and usually if I get a listing for one of these fixer uppers, that's where I get the most investors from. And that's when I really build my list. because they will come out of the woodwork for those.
So when you see a house that needs repairs, if you can secure an open house, the investors are going to come while you're hosting the open house, and that's going to be one way definitely to do it. I know people that have gone to investor groups that have done things like that. Putting yourself out on social media. Right now, I can't turn down. I get 15 texts a day from investors. Hey, let me know. I'm looking for property in the next month. By the end of the month, I need to spend $5 million to flip homes and whatever. So if you have yourself out there and you start to build a presence, the people will reach out. They'll find you and they'll come out and work to get you.
Michael,
Yes?
this is Arya. I'm glad you mentioned it because I'm also getting that. I'm sure many of you. But what I found out that many of them, you have to really know what you're selling. And the reason is because they are usually offering 70 cents on the dollar or less. So pretty much if you have a home that is $500,000, don't think that they're going to give you the list price or anything acceptable to the seller unless that is major rundown. And I did that with the probate fixer upper. At the end of it, I sold it to FHA buyer and we got top dollars for it. So you need to know your market. You need to know what you're selling because you're going to get 300 offers day one, but they're all going to be lowball offers. They're not offering you much. And my question to you is, if you're really in real estate for that long, what's stopping you to invest yourself? And that's what I'm offering my clients. I said, I'm buying it like if it's a home is at $500,000 and these people offering 350 when you're running it to the model. What's stopping you to get a hard money loan and do it yourself? I mean, that's why. So most of these investors, they're not really bringing any value because I would buy it myself if the seller would sell it for half price. It's not, you have to be cognizant about it because sometimes if you're new and you're working with them, you're going to get a lot of low bar offers that you have to present to the seller anyway because of the way the disclosures, but then you're wasting a lot of times. And there is going to be a lot of these investors. You have to be careful that they are not really, they're doing wholesaling. And of course, understand that wholesaling is when they don't really have the money, they're just pretty much the middle person. And you have to be very cognizant about that. So just that I'm glad you mentioned it because that's another way that you can waste a lot of time and effort on embarking on the wrong tree. Thank you.
No worries. And when you get these people that are texting you as well, though, and if you have a lot of people texting you and reaching out to you, and they have all this money, right, that they say they have to invest, that's an opportunity for us again to realize all the opportunities we have. Hey, you know what? I don't have a property for you right now, but I do have a great platform that we can introduce you to. If you can get them on the phone and have a conversation with them, you can introduce them to express offers. And that's another way that you can go with them. So
now that you mentioned it, can we, Frank, add that to one of our trainings? Because I would love to turn all these people. That's exactly, I was thinking about doing it. I just didn't know exactly how to go by about it. That might be a training opportunity for all of us. Just food for thoughts. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Mr. Elgin, I'm going to come to you. I know you're a great bread and butter built up, but you have some certain niches as well, kind of just focus the niche of just working hard. Huh?
Yeah, well, you know what, too, and thank you guys. Obviously, I missed the last couple of calls, but I would also say that keeping it real simple still works really well. And when I mean keeping it really simple is like you're talking about, you call it bread and butter, call it whatever you want to call it, but you need to focus on, in my opinion, one thing, and then add a couple of things to it. And then you always have other things in the tool belt that might help you with the transaction with a family here, an investor there, et cetera. But there should be something that you're focusing on a daily basis that helps you build your business and build it consistently, all depending upon what it is that you want. Like how Nate's building his team and building, and he's got certain goals and certain things like that. And then there's other people or like myself that model would not be for me personally. And neither one of them are wrong, but you have to find out what you like to do and how you want to build your business. Then you have to stick to it, though. You have to stick to it. You can't just change in the middle because you've been doing something for a couple of weeks and now somebody shoots you an email that says that they can have you rich in like 35 days if you do this, and you just go to that program and you stop doing the stuff that you've been doing. Relationship building takes time. Relationship building takes time, but if you're consistent at it and you build your relationships right, then you're never going to have an issue in regards to how, where, and when you can have business opportunities. And on the investors, absolutely. The Arya just brought up a really good point to in my opinion, because I get a lot of this stuff too. Particularly if you take listings. If you take listings, every listing, almost every listing, I was laughing with Pilar recently in that you get your listing and the house is on the market 2 days, and somebody sends you over this lowball offer, and they're an investor, and and you just get these things. And I'm not saying that they're good or they're bad. I'm saying that you have to know your market and then know how to handle that. How to handle it when you get maybe an offer that is something that's more acceptable to your seller. And also, as you get these investors, because a lot of them are wholesalers, and that, don't be afraid to ask them to have verifiable assets. Like when you get a potential buyer and the buyer comes in and you want FICO scores, you want proof of funds, you want pre-approval, you want a whole bunch of stuff from the buyer if they're coming in with financing. But somebody tells you they're going to pay cash, and you go, oh, okay, that's great, and you don't verify anything. Or you verify it and the name is different than the name that's on the offer. Or you look at it and the assets that you're verifying was 6 months ago. I mean, do you guys have the same amount of money in the bank today that you had 6 months ago? I mean, doesn't that like fluctuate? So don't be afraid just because they say that they'll have cash and they're a cash investor to put them through a process so that you know you're properly representing still your sellers. And so yeah, I agree that everything is for us a niche is just that. It's a niche and it's one more thing on the tool belt. It's not necessarily, and for some people, it may turn into your bread and butter, and that's cool too. But if you think about it, if you're doing something and something is continuously paying you X amount of dollars a month, a year, whatever it is you're building your business on, right? Why are you going to stop doing that because you want to try something else? Even if you decide you want to do something else, you don't stop doing what's paying you. You don't stop doing what's paying you. That's like taking money out of an investment, and I got this money, and then it's winning, and it's getting me 1,000% a day. And you take the money out of that, and you go put it to a loser, and talking about I can't wait for it to turn around because I'm gonna make a lot of money then. No, man. If you've been building your business, build it, keep doing that, and then add things to it. Change things around. But I mean, I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing that is successful. I'm trying to stop doing what I'm doing that's not successful and add to what's making me successful.
Right.
That's it.
Good point. Good points.
And that was such good. I'll echo something Elgin said. And when you're trying something and you really put your mind to it, it's going to take you twice as long as you think it's going to take to really get what you're doing. So the consistency is a huge thing. And there may be reasons to stop a model and start a model, but I was just looking when Elgin was saying that, and it's so true because the markets change and do this and that. So if you guys don't know, I was just myself an agent with maybe one buyer's agent for 20 years. And now the last 4 years, I started a team, but I got the coaching and set it all up to do it right and not stopping. And I think my 5 year plan probably turned into an 8 year plan as far as the numbers. But I started my team midway through. I started in 2021, but my first team member closed the deal in 2021. So we're about halfway through. My team, not me personally, but closed 54 transactions. That was in 2021. In 2022, they closed 90. In 2023, 96. Okay. But 2024, 125 my team closed, right? So when I go in, okay, 2025, maybe 160. So it doesn't grow as fast. And what was really interesting is I have my son Garrett now working for me, and he was listening to Kyle Whistle. And I always look at Kyle Whistle down in San Diego. They did 650 or 700 transactions. And Spring and all these people, and we're comparing ourselves. But we were listening to a podcast by Kyle, and he's on his 14th year. So it's 14 years. So it does 650. So if you take and you look at the, 20% increase year after year, you're going to get there. But if you think you're just going to jump in, be a team leader and sell 600 houses so you could be just as good as somebody, it takes 10 years for an overnight success. I know you've all heard that, but the consistency when Elgin is talking, you can't just abandon what you're really putting your mind to. You got to plan it out for a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year, 15-year plan. I agree with that, Elgin, so much.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
Go
I mean,
ahead.
and just for you guys that know, Nate is a unique individual too, and unique to whereas he does and has Nate and I've known each other 30 years probably. One thing that Nate is very good at is seeing what's working with his business, and if he needs to pivot, he pivots, but he pivots with a purpose. He pivots with a purpose and then goes forward. So when I'm saying too about you not doing certain things, one, you need to be unique like Nate is. The second thing is you then have to have the ability to be consistent with after you make the a different decision and really commit to it. Most people can't do that. So you have to know yourself and then know that you need to be consistent with what you do. Because some of you guys, I've been off vacation, so I'm probably a little bit not as nice with some of the things I say. But the truth of the matter is, most of you guys say you're consistent. You're not consistent at all. You're not consistent at all. You're not doing anything over and over again at all. Most people don't. Most people say they're consistent. And if you really take the hours that you're working and you take the hours of the days that you work, and you really take what you focus on during that time, and then you look at what your gross revenue is, your revenue is, not even your net, just your revenue is, you're going to find that you are not working and you're not nearly as consistent as you say you are between your ears. So I don't really care what it is. I don't care if it's cold calling. I don't care if it's door knocking. I don't care if you're building a team. I don't care what it is, but you got to be consistent at it, and you have to do it all the time. And you have to do it all the time. You have to commit to it. You punch out all the other noise of what people are telling you that it's not going to work and you can't do it and all that. And then you go ahead and get it done. And as soon as you get it done, everybody's going to be telling you about how great you are. Wow, you're such a success. And everybody's got a whole lot to say after you succeed. They don't say that while you're going through the process. And the
That's
process,
right.
like and as Nate said, the process can take longer than what it is. But if you're committed to it, if you want to be a professional athlete, you shoot. When I was playing ball, you shoot 500 shots a day. You shoot 500 shots a day when nobody's looking at you, to perhaps get 5 shots in a game. I might get 5 shots in this game, but I got to shoot 500 a day to be prepared for those 5. You got to be consistent. That's why you need to like what it is that you're doing. So when you start grabbing at these things and these silver things and, oh, this is going to be great and this is cute and I'm going to try this now. Okay. You're going to try yourself to being broke. Being broke is not fun to me. So anyway, let me stop.
No,
It was
good
interesting.
stuff. We all need to hear
Go
it.
ahead, Sid.
Yeah, good to
Okay.
hear, though. Good to hear.
Go ahead, Sid.
Hey, I just want to encourage everybody. Real estate is an exciting career. I've only been licensed 4 years. And what I'm loving about it is I feel like I'm just figuring it out. And I think like kind of what Elgin's saying, that consistency, that rhythm, creating those patterns. I've I had a corporate career before this. I did corporate sales. It took me a bit in real estate to kind of adjust, but now I'm starting to get the rhythm. And I just want to just encourage everybody that kind of like what Nate said, the being the strategic plan. I feel more optimistic about my future now than I ever did at any fancy smancy corporate job with the cool title and all the company benefits. So I just want to encourage you, pursue this career, keep getting training, keep getting coaching, and you will do well. I mean, Alden and Nate, I mean, these guys are all like incredible role models of just the consistency and things like that. And, we're starting to pay that off for ourselves. Now we're getting clients that we sold their house years ago, and they're calling us back to list, life's changing, adjusting. And, we're getting bigger deals than we've ever gotten. But I just want to just encourage you, I'm just getting started in real estate, but I just want to encourage you. I feel more optimistic about the future, irregardless of interest rates. And I really don't care. I don't even No, that's not, people need to move, life changes, things going on. So I just want to encourage you, continue investing in yourself, continuing being consistent. Every year, try to adapt. Don't make that big 10,000% change this year. Make a 20% change or do something strategic. Like this year we're making some strategic adjustments. We're not going crazy, but we're making those 20% adjustments to help us grow. And we've failed at some of these things before, but we know it's the right pattern to do. So we're implementing it. And so I just want to encourage you this year, it's going to be a great year, irregardless of what's happening or not happening. But be consistent and you'll make money and you'll do well. And we have a future here.
Great, man. Love it.
Awesome. So you guys, we're gonna wrap things up a little bit towards the day. We got a few more minutes to go, but I just want to kind of touch on everybody's things and everything as we go. But that consistency, that future, so huge, step by step. If you want to climb a mountain, guys, you're gonna put your head down. You're gonna see, oh my gosh, I got this big steep hill. You start going, you start going. It's gonna seem like forever. It's gonna seem so hard. You do it for a little while, you stop, you're like, oh my gosh. If you look up, it looks like it's insurmountable. But then when you turn around and look down, you're like, whoa, I'm this high. So we got to be able to realize and take event. We got to see what's in front of us, take those steps. We're not going to get to the top of the mountain just like that. Another point to bring to that is, does any of you guys know Warren Buffett? Obviously, we all know Warren Buffett, right? He said the most powerful thing in the world is compounding interest. Right? If we improve a little bit every day, if we just keep moving forward towards our goal, that's compounding the interest towards ourselves, towards our goal, getting better and better. Our production, ourselves, our income, everything starts to grow more exponentially because we're compounding that interest that we put into ourselves in our business every day. Okay? Everybody here has such great things to input. I was reading a book today. We're actually listening to a book on tape, and they said something that was really, to me, really hit home is if you can see greatness, you have it in you. Everybody here has some great talent. Everybody here sees somebody they expect. Because if you can recognize somebody's doing something that's great, that means you recognize what needs to be done and you have it in you. So let's go with that, guys. I want to thank everybody for coming. I will post it on the Winner Circle. It was a book. Hold on, let me pull it up real quick. It's in my Audible. But I'll post it. I'll post it on the Inner Circle. I do not want to take everybody's time just for me looking up this book. But Frank, do you want to add anything as we close out? I want to thank you guys all for coming today and plugging in. And look forward to sharing this well with you more.
Now, this was really good. And guys, I texted Michael yesterday and I said, oh, by the way, you're running the call today. And I know Mike kind of went, oh, crap. What am I going to talk about? But I'll tell you what, some of the nuggets you guys shared today was great. And I like what Chrissy texted. You got to fall in love with the mundane. That is so true. And I think that's what makes us different than everybody else. And the first step is to getting on the Monday call at 10 a.m. in the Winner Circle. Look, I know a lot of you guys have a lot of stuff to do. I do, but we're building this together, and I'm learning so much from all you. And this is the first step. It really, really is. So I thank you for your presence. And Michael, closing statements to you.
No, again, I just want to say thank you guys. We all learned so much from each person that's here. I feel blessed to have you guys all here and pouring into my business and building these relationships. So thank you all for everyone. And if everybody can bring one person next week, we can keep growing this and get more input and help others out. So really appreciate that. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thanks, fellas.
Be well.